Welcome to the Lost Slowdown Podcast 113 with your hosts, Claude and Justin.
What's up, guys?
We're back continuing our Season 2 commentary series with episode 207, the other 48 days, which, from what I remember, is my favorite episode of this season.
Yeah, I don't want to overhype this episode, but it's.
The best Lost episode ever.
If I try to think of my favorite episode of all time, this usually gets in that discussion because so we're gonna watch it and then it's probably not gonna live up to this expectation. But you know, I think the thing about it that I like is how it takes a lot of the stuff that I loved from season one
Mm-hmm.
and it just compresses it and shows like mostly like the more interesting parts.
Mm-hmm.
Because they have to get to him fast, and so they don't have time to languish around, chasing Boar or worrying about who stole the water or
Yeah.
like these silly problems that like go nowhere in season one. But it gives you all the good stuff, and there's lots of stuff with the others,
It's more
and
distilled.
there's lots of like it just gets really intense really fast compared to what we're used to.
Yeah.
And they just get attacked a lot more. I don't think they ever really explain why.
I think the idea is that they're closer to the others.
I guess so. I guess so.
Yeah.
But yeah, but it just seems like they're just inordinately harassed.
Mm-hmm.
To the extent that they're coming in and taking tons of them, and like the other camp, like they don't really take anybody.
Well, yeah. I mean, part
You
of it, I
know?
think, is logistics of they want as few people in that tail section as possible as characters. So
I
the
know.
others are going to take a lot more of them.
I know. But like that should mean that not just Cindy, but like at least 10 or more of the others are like tail section survivors that we
Yeah.
just
Never got
never
introduced to.
get introduced to.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just I don't know. It just seems weird like, oh, they were chosen for whatever. I mean, you're right though. I mean, that's why. But it's just kind of weird because at the time it seemed like I don't know, it seemed like it had significance. And this is the episode where I know. This is the episode where they introduce the idea of um, uh, the lists and the idea that the others take the good people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Not they didn't take this person because he's not a good person. It's this whole thing that like almost is a big reveal for the series, but it's not quite right.
Yeah.
It's off from what they eventually do.
Because the others don't know what they're doing.
Well, I know. That's the problem. But they sort of act like they do. I mean, it comes off like there's some underlying plan. It's like the Cylons of Battlestar Galactica or whatever. It comes off like there's some grand, scheme that they're carrying out, and there's a purpose to all this. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I guess the ultimate reveal is that it's just kind of
It's whatever Ben thinks they should do
yeah,
when he thinks they should do it.
yeah. So at some point, Ben just says, "Take a bunch of people from the tail station." I don't know why, but he does.
Mm-hmm.
So there
Well,
you go.
it does tie. I mean, obviously this is early in the show, but it ties into the later idea that they reveal of Man in Black and Jacob trying to find the whole bet about the nature of humanity and all that. So this idea of the others want the good people on their team and to bolster their numbers with good people makes sense. It just doesn't come out nice and neat in the end.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, like there's never a time period, even pre-Ben, like there's never a time period we see with the others where like I feel like that principle is really illustrated. It seems like they're
It's this time
always
period. This is when they're doing it.
yeah, but I mean from when we see from their point of view, I
Mm-hmm.
feel like we never see this plan being enacted. Like the reason why they're doing stuff is always something else. Like we never see them taking principled stands. Like it's always about here's this specific problem that we're having right now, and here's how we're going
Well,
to
yeah,
solve
because
it.
there are no doctrines. There's no principles leading this group. I mean, it's whatever you
Right,
know. It comes second and third hand from this general idea Jacob has coming
right,
through Richard to whoever leads the others. So yeah.
yeah, yeah. And I think it just in general they just I mean it's a cool idea, but they just got totally into this idea of these lists, and lists are cool. But then I feel like they got a little confused about where the lists come from, what their purpose is, how they're used, how the others view them. Like maybe they're from Jacob, maybe they're just tallies, just like noting down the names of the survivors so they can, so Mikhail can go look up information about them.
Hmm.
It's just
I would imagine
intelligence
there's
gathering.
something to the idea that,
And it's like if Jacob brought him there, why don't you ask Jacob who these people are?
well, he doesn't necessarily know, but I feel like there's something to the idea that there's a list of people Jacob doesn't want immediately killed, i.e., the candidates. There's something to that, that if he knows that they're going to be taking people or killing them or holding them hostage, there's a certain number that he did specifically want to come to the island for this candidate program, for this internship. Because it doesn't pay. Hopefully they get college credit if they're at a accredited university, but um, so there's something to that.
I know, but then they tell us in season 3 the first line about Jacob, Shepard wasn't on Jacob's list. And then Mikhail says, and Kate and Locke and Saeed, you weren't
Hmm.
on Jacob's list because you're flawed. And it's
Well,
like
that's
they have this weird idea about what Jacob's list means at that point that
yeah.
it just doesn't fit with what they tell
His
us
list was the
later.
list of people that he doesn't care about.
Yeah, and it's like, are we supposed to think they just wildly misinterpreted did he not tell Richard what the list meant? He's just like, hey,
I
here's
mean,
a
honestly,
list.
my answer would be that Jacob had no clue about this list. Ben made the list up for the people he wanted to kidnap, you know, because those are the
But
people.
the people he wanted to kidnap are though, is Jack, includes Jack.
That's what I'm
Like
saying.
why
Like
wouldn't
those are
he
the
put
people.
Jack on Jacob's list if he's gonna lie and say this is Jacob's list? Why wouldn't he put the people he wants on
Well,
there?
because then you don't have any conflict with Ben and his underlings.
Yeah,
Because you need Pickett to be the ornery outsider guy.
right. Yeah.
It's
I
weird.
know, but that's the thing that like I've heard that before. Like Ben makes the list and says they're from Jacob, which I think works, except that he then makes lists that aren't advantageous for him to him.
Hmm.
He makes lists of these random people that don't
Well,
matter.
I think that's right. I mean, right? Because he doesn't want, because if they're on Jacob's list, then does that? I mean, maybe that just means that they're gonna become the others. Simply put, right? But
Yeah.
that's not what Ben necessarily wants. He wants them. He wants to interrogate them. He wants Jack and eventually to do the surgery. Like, so maybe that's why. Like, he doesn't really want them to just be under the blanket of he's on Jacob's list and they can be others because they're good people. Like, he wants to hold them hostage, aka bad people, so he can do what he wants with them. So maybe that's why it's counterintuitive because he doesn't want to attribute them what somebody would have in terms of being another. Because then it's like, well, why are you torturing this guy? Why are you keeping him hostage if he's on Jacob's list? If he's a good guy, does that make any sense? Am I making sense?
Yes.
Um, Maybe there's something there with how they decided to portray it.
Pickett's point is supposed to be, why are you letting him do spinal surgery on you? He
Hmm.
wasn't on Jacob's
Yeah, and so if
list.
say he was on the list, then Pickett could be like, "You're letting him do spinal surgery on you. He's on Jacob. There's no conflict there. If
Yeah.
it's like, Jacob approves of this guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know. It's
Yeah.
weird.
I guess so. I guess so. But it just seems like, I don't know. I guess there's a lot of things in the show where they have like a bunch of similar things that aren't actually related,
Hmm.
but seem like they should be,
Yeah.
you
You mean
know?
plot points?
Yeah. And yeah, so it's just like the ghosts and the apparitions and the God knows what else. It just feels
God
like
can't see this island,
it just
so God doesn't know what else. All right.
it just feels like the lists are like that, where there's a lot of
It's like you
lists.
can't put every detail that you know about Liz together and make a coherent idea.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I don't know. But in general, the other 48 days definitely stands as one of the best of the season. Obviously the beginning of season 2 is good and it ends really well. So I'm excited for this one.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's very encapsulated, and I guess the weird thing about it being like, yeah, I mean, the good parts of the main story are just so much more spread out, and so
Hmm.
I don't know, it's kind of just I think partially a byproduct of the structure of this episode that
It's
like
just concentrated. It's
it's
concentrated
really
drama, and
good.
it's also the sort of release of the tension of wanting to know these characters' backstories, these new
Yeah.
people we just met. Like, what was their first week like, or their first 48 days, perhaps.
Yes, they've been setting that up. Like they've had all these little what happened to you people. They're freaking out about the others. We see Ana Lucia's shooting Shannon in the previous episode, and
What?
and they showed Goodwin too, and they don't talk about
Who?
what happened to him. So
And we'll
yeah,
never find that out.
so yeah, this I would say I think yeah, this is better than what they do with Ajira.
Oh, don't put it in that category. Yeah, totally.
I even though like ultimately they suffer the same kind of fate,
Hmm.
um, I think there's just more interesting details going on with these people.
For sure. All right, well, let's jump into it.
Okay.
Another 48 days. All right, do the countdown. All right, five, four, three, two, one. Beach.
Cold open.
I
No previously on.
see Desmond's boat. No, I don't.
It should be out there.
Circling and circling. Uh-oh. Yeah, I remember this being awesome.
Yeah.
Chair in the face. Day one.
They like that like opening on a shot of the placid beach and
Mm-hmm.
then like having some crazy thing destroy the peacefulness.
That looks fairly peaceful still. Haven't you ever woken up in the middle of the ocean with plane debris around you and screaming people? Yeah, and it's cool that we already know these people. Like, we know where they get to in 48
Yeah.
days versus like the original pilot.
Yeah, that makes this a little different from the original characters.
Cindy, she will outlive them all.
Yep.
Like, so that looks like they got thrown out of the tail section, and then the tail section is sinking in the background. Is that what happened?
Yeah.
Because it's not like the tail section landed like in on the beach.
Yeah, I think they were thrown out.
Why they weren't buckled in their seatbelts, we won't ask.
Yeah, they don't really show how that happened. I don't know. Oh
Oh
man.
no,
Those
you
kids.
and that bear.
You don't have any idea what kind of life you're giving us, lady.
Let her die. It's not worth
It
it.
really isn't. 3 years later, she's still not gonna know what's going on.
No.
And that other kid's still gonna have his teddy bear.
Mm-hmm.
You're never gonna see her again.
No, she's dead, honey. Oh, she's not dead. She's just in LA. Don't worry, you get off the island soon. Rescue is coming. Oh, see, she just said it.
Mm-hmm.
It's true. Nice. Yeah, that's a good opening if you've never seen it before.
Yeah. You want to take care of these kids for the rest of your life?
I have a small favor to ask. I got a stick to make.
Forever.
Oh yeah, that's right. That could have been Bernard. Jeez. People love that. That like, let me tell you a story about the situation you're in right now. He's gonna sleep for a while. And Lucy's like, she's hardcore. He was in the plane, right? Right? So Ben and the guys were just having a book club meeting,
Yep.
and he just sent Goodwin over here. Wow. Rose would be like,
Okay.
Bernard, what are you doing up in that? Would you get down from there?
So he's still like buckled in.
Mm-hmm.
His seat somehow flew out of the tail section into this
Mm-hmm.
tree.
Mm-hmm. I mean, they might have said that the people who were in the water in the opening, because those are supposed to float, those seats,
Mm-hmm.
they just unbuckled when they hit the
Yeah.
water, but still, it seems like they didn't.
Yeah.
Like, how can she see that? It's a weird angle.
Yeah, they're trying to get everything.
Mm. He would not have survived that.
I'd rather be with Juliet right now.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're another, you got to do stuff like this.
Goodwin has water. It'd be cool to see a side by side edited version of what's going on at the beach, what's going on here at the same time.
Didn't somebody do that?
I've seen a side by side version of the everybody getting on the plane. I think something like that. You know, when they've shown multiple of everyone on the plane.
I thought I saw a YouTube video that had Desmond and Kelvin, Desmond killing Kelvin, cut with the others in the book club at the barracks,
Oh,
cut in
okay.
with the tail section, cut in with the pilot.
Like all four at
I think I've
once?
seen that with like back and forth, like between the three,
Oh, okay.
trying to sync them up.
Hmm. She's dead. No, she's not dead.
Well, the tail section broke off, and
Mm-hmm.
you were in the front, so
Mm-hmm.
she shouldn't be with you.
Is this night one?
Yeah, what happened to the count?
Uh-oh. This is not good. Yeah.
What's going
What?
on?
That guy.
Cut to that guy. The sleazy innocent.
Yeah, they tried to take the wrong guy.
Yeah.
Next time, don't go for the huge guy first.
There we go.
That was an interesting sound effect.
That was the first night.
Yeah, this made the others crazy.
Yeah. They left him at home.
Yeah, exactly. They didn't want to lose it on the track. He's like, it's time to have a stick.
That guy's a Paul Rudd type.
Who, Nathan?
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Time to make a Jesus stick.
Yeah. Maybe there's caves.
There's kids and people.
Hmm. Kids are technically people. They should be working together. Nathan plays that like undercover spy role really well. Thanks, Cindy. It did not help.
Wait, how did she know that?
Well, she's a stewardess,
Okay.
so she was probably on the channel,
Okay.
like, you know.
Like the pilots told her just as they
Yeah.
told, or should I say, what's his name? Greg Grunberg told her.
Hmm. Jacob will heal him.
Or the island will? Did anybody get healed? Where's the healing?
That's what makes me think Locke's injury was just coincidental. Like his healing, since it was spine related or whatever, like it just him landing in that accident just knocked it back into place. Day 5.
Cut to him dead.
Took him like three extra days to die, I guess.
Yeah. R.I.P. Donald.
Mm-hmm. We hardly knew ye.
Libby told you a story once.
So that chicken probably came from
I was just gonna say
the
that.
flame station, right? Where the cow is.
Yeah, there's a farm there.
There's
I
a
don't know why
farm.
there's a farm there, but
You gotta eat somewhere.
don't they have supply drops for that?
Well, Dharma has the supply drops.
But the farm's attached to the station. I mean, didn't they build that?
Yeah, but they're not still getting the supply drops that Dharma's doing.
Oh. No, but I mean, why would Dharma build a
Oh,
corral
I don't
and
know. We just caught it. It's fresh, organic, free range.
that never seemed weird to me that there was a chicken there. That's kind of strange.
Hmm.
That
I mean, there's maybe just wild animal. I mean, there's boar and polar bears that are indigenous, right?
But chickens are like farm animals,
Yeah.
They shouldn't typically live in the wild.
Well, since it was out, it seems like it's a wild chicken. Like, otherwise it should have died since it left wherever it came from. But yeah, I mean, it had a cow. Like, it's obviously a farm. They're like a little Boone and Shannon.
They really are. If you just use the system.
Mm-hmm. Remember, kids, always use the system. Somebody might think you're a traitor.
See, I think Goodwin would use the system because he doesn't
Mm-hmm.
want to draw attention to himself.
Exactly. I mean, the others are just really doing this wrong. This is just not the way to get what they want without casualties. And I know who she is. She's a friend of mine. You just killed her. A shopping list. Wow. It was it doesn't have the same mystery it had before.
Yeah, I know. But it's like they're not just natives randomly raiding the camp. They have a plan. They actually
Mm-hmm.
have a list with names on it. It makes them scarier, I think.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It took me 2 hours. Oh, Bernard. Day 15. That means you, Nathan. You get 4 minutes. Who's the leader? All right.
For 2 days.
Man,
I guess
they make some tools on this island. Jeez. It took them
this
2 days to make them.
this is the caves.
Yeah. Well, this is her digging the hole, huh? I'm assuming that's what she's digging is the interrogation hole.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Boom.
Takes a long time to dig a hole.
That's a big hole.
It
And she looks like
is.
she's doing it by herself.
Yeah. It never really helps.
Oh, I love this. I love that, like, for 2 days, she's doing something. He has no idea that he's, like, going to be the first victim of this.
Yeah. Yeah, that hole is deep. Holy
Hmm.
shit.
Yeah, that's about 15, 20 feet.
Wait, is this where they throw
Yeah.
Sawyer and Michael in? Okay.
They didn't dig more than one interrogation hole.
All right. I hope not.
Boom.
I mean, it's a
And
big
it's funny because
plane.
it's Goodwin saying, Goodwin knows he was on the plane.
Right.
Stickman.
I do, but I can't tell you. Maybe if I just stand here, you'll get the idea.
That's a lie. That place doesn't exist. Make up a real country.
You see, that's what Ethan said too.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, his name is very similar to Ethan's name. It's a big plane. It's an international,
Mm-hmm.
you
But
know,
hey, Cindy didn't
across the
even.
ocean flight.
Cindy didn't even see.
But Cindy didn't, I mean, she wasn't in charge of the whole
Listen, she's
plane.
obviously wrong.
Yeah, I know. But when I originally saw this episode,
Mm-hmm.
I thought he was another.
Mm-hmm. This makes him seem like another.
Yeah. He's just creepy.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes you gotta move when a rock is coming towards you.
Yeah.
Does he look like the kind of guy who's gonna give a banana? Not exactly Meals on Wheels. Yeah, they built up that whole like sensitive hero thing with Echo.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's really a drug lord.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a super badass. He kills two others with his bare hands.
Mm-hmm.
But he's also a priest, and he has all this guilt about his brother. And I guess the other thing about him is that it took me a long time to realize is that him crashing on the island is what makes him start to take his religion seriously.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Because he was only undercover for
Yeah.
as a priest.
Like immediately before this, he was completely like, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just doing this to,
Savage Day.
It's not savage if you wait long enough.
Mm-hmm.
That seems to be the subtext.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Goodwin's gonna help him.
Good was such a good guy. She told me she would. Oops.
I love that he prepared a little care package
It
just to
really
sell
helped.
it a
It
little
really
more.
helped.
Puts his guard down.
Mm-hmm.
Oh God, I remember the shot.
Yeah.
Just after the reveal that there's something up with Goodwin.
Mm-hmm.
He's watching her while she sleeps.
That's his Good Morning Juliet look.
Yeah, it is.
Goodwin's like, what? Who let him out? And snapped his neck.
So like this. At this point, the audience knows, so they cut to Goodwin.
Hmm.
Normally, they wouldn't cut to Goodwin there.
Or they would cut to him and we wouldn't know why. It would just, we wouldn't know what they meant.
Ah,
Hmm.
even the door is like weirdly rustic looking.
Hmm.
It's like
So she
planks.
calls it a bunker, but
Yeah. Yeah, they just shouldn't have made it a station. They should have just said it's like, you know,
yeah.
a bunker. I could live with that.
But it's got
Oh, but it
quarantine. But it's like
shouldn't.
wooden slats. That's
I
not
know, that's what I was
airtight.
saying.
That's
Like,
really
it's,
weak.
yeah, they just want to tie it in. But it makes no sense because, like, that quarantine thing is not.
And I put like Dharma like it's a station. Like,
Yeah.
he would know.
But, like, it gets a logo. I don't know.
Uh-oh.
Oh, God,
I hope
this.
nothing's interesting in here. Is it a glass eye? Oh my god.
Oh, man.
My Jeebus.
I love this. It's just a box of, like,
Mm-hmm.
mysteries.
Who knows what that is?
Think about this, America.
Hmm. Uh-oh.
Wow.
Can't say no to that smile.
She knows now.
Mm-hmm. Good people. Almost good one. Almost. For this.
And stab you in the eye.
Mm-hmm. After I eat this.
Oh, they wear shoes.
Mm-hmm. From the 50s.
Now that one, pretty good that they actually followed up on that. They're a little off on how old it is, but
She's guessing,
yeah,
right? I mean,
I know.
she's not like Jag or like from the stamp on the metal. This is clearly. Hmm.
No, I was
No.
sent here
Coincidence.
intending to do that already.
Where there's water.
I mean, Bernard wasn't either.
Yeah, but Bernard, she knows where Bernard didn't fake getting up that tree.
That's true. Barracks.
Mm-hmm. Oh, jeez.
Yep.
They're with Walt now. Oh, you don't know who he is. And that's the thing too. Once we know who Goodwin is, we know he's not like a mercenary. Like
Yeah,
he's just a guy.
it's true. He comes off a lot more menacing here than he was
Mm-hmm.
later.
Man, that's just you were gonna belly flop on her like he was gonna
That was the
like
plan.
a wrestling move. Wow, he was
Yeah.
really just gonna like leap at her. And then this is kind of funny because a different show could have played this a different way, where she's actually like the other, and like she just killed Goodwin because he found out she's the bad guy or
Hmm.
something. What?
Yeah. There's a lot you guys don't know.
Hmm. Like she could have relayed that the kids are safe.
Yeah. We gotta check this box right now.
Hmm.
Boom.
Hmm.
Oh, I love it. She's just wrong.
Hmm.
Classic
She just
Lost.
can't. sh Yeah, she can't be baited by imposters anymore, even though she's overreacting.
Yeah.
What do you think? The fuselage landed on the other side of the island.
You think they have a story like we did?
You think your wife is still alive over there?
It's weird because if we had seen this first, we wouldn't know what that transmission was.
Mm-hmm. We'd be like, oh yeah, it is
It's like
them.
maybe it is the
It is
others.
the
Who
others just trying to,
knows?
yeah, pull them out. And 40 nights.
Unintentionally.
Mm-hmm. That's why she's crying now. Because she's like, oh, it's too poignant.
Yeah. It's like you wrote this, Echo.
Mm-hmm. They make a good team.
Yeah.
Day 45. 3 more days to go. Now, how did you guys make that net? Hmm.
It's a gin fish.
What the?
He's handcuffed.
Jinsu Kwan. How did he see them? Why are they just now washing up? That seemed really weird. Cause Jin was lost the night before.
Yeah.
They are just washing up now. Yet it seemed like it was like 20 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think that timeline
They're
is.
compressing time a lot.
And now they're doing this sort of replay thing.
Yeah.
Just so you know,
Feels like
that's where we
Battlestar,
link up
feels
with
like
the part
Battlestar
we've
Galactica
seen.
with that
Yeah.
music.
Pounding drums.
Oh, this is great.
Behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm.
I love scenes like this. I wish
This
they did
is
more of this.
Yeah, this is great. Well, it's a gambit she's playing. It makes it so much better.
Yeah.
And then they just like drop her in there. Mm-hmm. Back up. So that's the 2 days. So the 45th day is when they found the losties.
Yeah.
Okay. And it took them a day to trust them,
Yep.
and then a day to get back toward start getting towards the island, the beach camp.
Back to the arrow.
Mm-hmm. This is them looking for Michael, going to the beach. This is when they decide to cut in.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's right. So Sawyer goes down.
I guess instead of previously on Lost, we get this.
Yeah. Uh-oh. Today.
Today. That's a weird thing to say, but okay. Especially for a show like this.
Yeah. Well, they want you to know that we're done with the flashbacks.
Right.
So the audience doesn't think, oh, I didn't see this scene. I think that was her only bullet too, right? That gun, that bullet.
One gun,
That
one
gun.
bullet.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then this abandoned blonde lady walked out of the jungle.
Mm-hmm. By her soulmate.
What?
She shall be avenged. All right.
And Lost.
Boom.
Yeah.
Still a great episode. I think definitely knowing the whole show and knowing what's going on takes a lot of the fire out of it.
Yep. Yep. I think early on, I mean, just watching it now, there's a lot of shit in that episode.
Mm-hmm.
It's like packed with little things that are eventually answered or not answered later. Um, so I think, for the old days, it was like, a big episode,
Mm-hmm.
seemingly. I do think it's well done, but yeah, it just
Well, when you know who
doesn't
the
have that
traitor
edge.
is, and when you know what the others want, and when you know like
Yeah.
these things, that's the part that.
Yeah, the others were definitely scarier when you saw less of them.
Mm-hmm.
And you
Like
only
most,
see
like most horror villains,
Yeah.
like scary villains.
Yeah, you only see when you see Goodwin. Goodwin's exactly like Ethan. Like when you see him like this,
He's
like
not a Superman.
he's intimidating. He's got that creepy grin on his face when he's talking about, um, he wasn't on the list because he's not a good person.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, the children are fine. They have a better life now. It's this weird thing that like I feel like the modern day, the latter day others, just didn't really.
I think the Losties killed all the good others. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
all the charismatic ones you see first.
I guess that's what it comes down to. But it's funny we keep seeing those characters, Ethan and Goodwin, in flashbacks, and Tom fits in there too.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're just not as scary when you see them,
Yeah.
in their day to day
Well, and
others'
they
life.
yeah. Because the others just aren't that scary. I mean, half of the time they're putting on a front
Yeah,
to be scary. Which is
yeah.
just odd.
It is really odd. Yeah, they have these like fake clothes and fake beards, and it's just like I don't know. There's a version of that story where they're really crazy because it still is pretty crazy what they do, but somehow
Mm-hmm.
they just kind of it feels like they just don't think about it that much,
Yeah.
and you know,
Well, it's like it's not something they normally do, but they just tried it this time. Like,
yeah,
well, let's do the costume. Let's pretend like we don't wear our shoes, and I mean that's
yeah,
obviously for the tracking purposes too, but still.
yeah. I do kind of miss that, since we saw like it wasn't really necessary, I think, because we could have inferred this from the story, but the way they show that scene where Ana Lucia says to Echo like hit me, and then like you see him throw her down there, and it's like, oh, that was the setup.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was pretty obvious that was the kind of thing that happened.
Yeah.
But like that's the kind of thing I wish they had with the others in the costumes. I just wish we had that scene where someone was like,
Had a bright idea.
should go out there in the old costume, so they bought whatever it is they're gonna
Mm-hmm.
say the reason is. I just feel like it would be a little smoother if they made that matter,
Yeah.
you know? Because when Ben sends out Ethan and Goodwin, like he never mentions the costumes. He's just like, go infiltrate and give me some lists, and There's really no, I don't know. There's never a
Well, for
point
them
where
it wasn't
anyone
a
in the
well.
flashbacks talk about
Yeah, but for
costumes.
them it didn't even matter because they were immediately. It's really the Tom. It's really for Tom because he's the one who's really dressing up. Like he's got the fake beard and stuff or whatever.
Right. But I mean, in any of the scenes, like even later, after all kinds of stuff is happened, like we never see a behind the scenes discussion where they talk about the costumes,
Yeah,
you know, and like what their purpose is and whose idea it was and all that. Because like, I don't know, they don't seem to normally do that.
yeah. I mean, it was obviously Ben's idea,
Yeah.
but no, they don't give you the behind the.
And I guess part two that makes it strange is at a certain point, that's just really their clothes now. They're not costumes anymore.
Well, it's the other way, I think, right? It's that the others used to be very tribal. Ben comes into the picture and makes them corporate, and so when they live at the barracks, so the reason that they go to the quote costumes later is because that's their traditional look. You know what I mean? So it's kind of going back the other way, and then they just go back to that because they don't have the facilities to. They're not at the barracks anymore after a certain point.
Right.
And that's the thing that you wouldn't think from watching the show that, oh, they're like this. This is what they used to be before the main bad guy changed them. You
Yeah.
know, you wouldn't guess that it's
That's a
that
weird
way.
extra level
Yeah.
that is kind of strange. But yeah, I guess that's the idea.
Because yeah, that's why that's why they have the fake hatch, the famp and the fatch,
Right.
is because they're trying to go, oh, well, we don't want them to see our new way of living. We want them
Right.
to be scared by our old style, where we're these jungle dwellers, you
Right.
know.
But it's just a weird double switch where I mean, and they never make this explicit on the show. They just show it and you just can infer it if you
Hmm.
want. But it's a weird to say on the one hand, you know, they're not like this. They dress normally and they live suburban lifestyle. That's reveal 1. Reveal 2 is, well, only recently because of this new leader they got.
Yeah,
Actually,
but
the
it, but
your
that's
your
yeah,
impression of them faking was more like the real
yeah,
others.
which kind of makes sense if you think about it, because there's no way they could really have a suburban lifestyle. They are on a deserted island, so it's like they really can't have that barracks thing for their whole entire history. Like they must have been sort of really living in tents in the jungle and really like most of the time you see the others. If they have a long history on the island.
That's what I was gonna say. At this point, that I mean, that's one of the things I used to think about them. Like, we don't know where they came from.
Hmm.
For all we know, they really are what's left over of Dharma.
Hmm.
I thought that was one of the things I used to think. And then they could have been in the barracks the whole time.
Hmm.
You know, so
But their history would only go back as far as Dharma,
yeah,
not
yeah,
before that.
right. But it would mean they really were lying about being these native types. They really were. You know, it really was an act. But yeah,
Or no, I mean, from what you just said, it wouldn't be an act if they're what's left over from Dharma. Then it would be
no, no, no.
them.
The dressing up in the like sacky clothes and
Hmm.
putting on the fake beards. That's the act.
Hmm.
Whereas it's actually for the others more like being their real selves.
Hmm. I mean, no one could have. I mean, yeah, it's just weird. It gets crazy because it's like when we get to the barracks, it's not Dharma who's there; it's the others who are there.
Right.
But it's not their place they build.
Right.
It is very weird, overlapping stories.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I do think that they want us to consider that as a possibility. And it's
Hmm.
partially true. I mean, Ben does come from the Dharma days,
Hmm.
and Ethan does too.
Hmm.
So, there is at least like there's an element of that that's true. But on the other hand, the core others are not supposed to just be Dharma. I mean, the core others just come down to just a bunch of random people, I guess.
Yeah. Well, and even Ethan. I mean, they're there during those days, but they're. I mean, Ben was Dharma, obviously, but Ethan was barely Dharma. By the time he's a kid, Ben is taking over, right? Ben is.
Uh, no, I
Oh,
mean
I'm thinking
they,
of the scene where he's a kid and they kidnap
yeah,
Alex.
yeah, and Ben's not the leader yet,
Yeah, but they're with the others
but
though.
they're with the others. Yeah, he's
Yeah, yeah,
already
yeah. So
defected.
he's not. He didn't really grow up with Dharma.
I mean, he must have grown up some with Dharma because
Well, yeah,
Horace.
some, but I mean, not the bulk of his life.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But what I mean, all I mean is that he's only there because of Dharma.
Yes.
But I mean, the thing about the others is everybody's there for their own reason.
That's the whole thing about the island.
Yeah, the island in general.
Everyone's there for something.
Yeah, and the reason it's supposed to be Jacob, I guess.
Who? I'm not familiar.
But yeah, I mean, um, yeah, it's too bad. It's too bad that they told us enough that some of these old mysteries have just lost their, you know, their
Hmm.
impact.
I think that's what you want, really. I mean, if it was still a huge mystery, then you would be let down on the other end of it with like they never answered this. It'd be nice, but yeah, I mean, the other 48 Days is the kind of episode. The first time you see it, it just blows your mind. But
Yeah,
it still holds up, but it's not revealing. It's a lot about the reveals, and if you already know what's going on, then
right. Then there's
some of the punch is taken away.
yeah, but yeah. So, but I mean, some of the stuff from this episode, I don't think gets very well answered. But I don't know. Maybe that's just
Like what?
par for the course in the show. I mean, we already talked about the lists.
Hmm.
There's also the glass eye, which
They could have answered.
they could have answered but chose not to
Hmm.
for whatever reason.
I think they just assumed people assumed it was Mikhail's eye. He was the
Right.
only person who could have used the glass eye.
Yeah, is the only person we ever
They made
saw.
him very obvious that he was missing an eye.
Yeah, yeah. And to be fair, I don't really know how they're gonna work it into a scene.
Yeah, he finds the losties and goes, "Have you guys seen my glass eye?"
I mean, basically all the tail section people who were there
Mhm.
are dead by the time Mikhail shows up. And like Bernard, maybe he's the only one who could possibly say anything about it. But like he's not even around
Yeah.
when Mikhail's around.
Well, I mean, yeah, they're not gonna. Yeah, they didn't talk about that.
So there's just no way. But then also the Bible that has the cutout piece from the Swan orientation film that
Mhm.
Radzinski put in there. And he's the source of the quarantine stuff too. So he's
Mhm.
like hiking over there, snipping out film, putting stuff in a Bible, spraying quarantine on the door. He's doing all this shit. He's Blastdoor map. He did so much stuff, and it's like I just don't think they really I just don't think they really gave any kind of answer for what his character was supposed to be doing.
Who?
Brzezinski.
Brzezinski's character.
Yeah. Like they give us an answer who did it, but there's really no I don't feel like there's a good explanation of why he was doing
Other
that.
than he was the hypochondriac, other than he was just very um, on edge about everything.
Yeah.
He's kind of overreacted. Quarantine, quarantine, quarantine.
It's just a really bizarre way, like cutting the film and putting it in a Bible and then hiking over to the
He
it's
felt the
just
need to be
weird.
secretive. He felt the
Yeah.
need to like hide things. It's just not normal.
Yeah. Yeah. That's just another one where I feel like they kind of owed us a behind the scenes with him in the later days, where it somehow connect the dots between that and Mr. Joe Baby Drill from the 70s.
Hmm.
Because yeah, the paranoid thing works, but it's still I don't know. I still just find it really hard to unless it's just supposed to be complete irrational insanity, and that's all there is to it. But that just feels like a really unsatisfying answer.
Well,
Which doesn't mean it's wrong.
that seems like it's probably the answer then, if it's unsatisfying.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. All right, other 48 days.
Yeah. There you go. Oh, another thing I wanted to know is, they go through a lot of the main things that the main camp does, um, but not the smoke monster. There's no smoke monster in this episode.
They get the others instead.
Yeah, they get a lot of the others.
Hmm.
But I think it's odd that they don't get the smoke monster.
It's too much.
I guess so.
And yeah, and I think there is something to the geography of where they are. There's something to the fuselage section is closer to Smokey or something, and because the first night they hear him in the
Yeah.
jungle, and these guys are just somehow closer to the others. There's something. I think they're thinking about geography when they're writing some of this stuff. What's practical in a way, and I think there's something to the idea of Man in Black appearing to Jack first, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that would have been a lot if they had to deal with the others and a smoke monster.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
It's true. It's true. But I feel like it's the only big thing because they find a Dharma station, you know.
Well, they got to leave something for them for
Yeah.
later. Plus, you got to wait for Echo to see it, right? There's a whole thing
Yeah.
about Echo seeing the smoke
That's
monster.
true. That's
So
true.
they don't want to use all their surprises all at once.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I guess if they already knew about it, that scene would be different.
Hmm.
So yeah, good point. I forgot. I forgot. I was like, man, the songwriter never even cares about the tail section, and that's
Hmm.
almost true.
Yeah,
But he
he's
really
biding his time.
he really gets in with Echo,
Yeah.
and that's would have been a big deal
Hmm.
if they if that actor wanted to stay. I put that up there with you know with what if there hadn't been a writer strike during season 4
Hmm.
as like one of those things. I just wish I could have I don't know. I wish I could visit that alternate universe where he stayed on the show and we got to see the longer version
Yeah.
of what they were going to do with him
Yeah.
because it's clear from the way he goes out that his story should have tied into the bigger story,
Hmm.
you know, about the smoke monster and all that. So um, I just like to see what that looks like because it would have been a different show,
Yeah.
but it would have been I don't know.
Yeah, there's so many alternate realities. There's the one where Ben, they cast a different actor as
Oh
Ben,
yeah,
so they didn't expand his role, so somebody else is the leader of the others
yeah,
and all that
that's a
stuff.
different show too,
Hmm. Or there's the realities where other actors wanted to leave.
right?
You know,
Yeah,
they had to write Kate off early or something.
right.
Like the smoke monster comes to Kate and tells her to confess or something. To confess, I'm gonna run.
Yeah, yeah. But they know they don't. Echo's the only character that they kill off like that,
Hmm.
and so it really feels like his story should have been tied into the smoke monster in some way.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's hard to tell because the smoke monster has nothing to do with Echo. You know what I mean? Like, unless he was going to use him for something, there's no intrinsic connection.
Right.
So,
Yeah, I mean, I think the idea would have been he would have used him for something,
yeah,
but I just wonder how that would have worked exactly.
yeah.
Because like, there's the way the story actually went. Echo doesn't fit in there, you know.
Hmm. All right.
So yeah, it's objectively, I think it's a pretty good episode.
Better than Abandoned. Better than dot 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 and
Yeah.
Found.
Oh, that's the other thing that was cool about this. I think at this stage in the show, let me make sure I'm right about this. Yeah, I agree with myself. It is the first episode where we don't get a flashback.
Hmm. Well, it's all flashbacks.
You could look at it that way, but it's all on the island.
All
You know what I
island
mean? It's
flashbacks.
not it's not flashbacks from the characters' lives before they
Yeah.
had anything to do with the island.
Yeah, totally.
So it's the first episode of that type. So that's the other thing I loved about it originally. I was like, yeah, I want more of this and less of
Hmm.
all this like
You'll get that later.
putzing around the hospital for Jack or Kate running
Hmm.
around some
Yeah, you
more.
can only do. I mean, this is their origin story, so you can't have both of those. You didn't. There's not those flashbacks in the pilot like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Like they got to keep the action up. Plus, it's a lot. 48 days of story.
It's true. It's true. It's a lot to pack in. So I
Yeah,
can understand why they did it that way. But it makes it feel I don't know.
it keeps the drama in the present.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, the plot line of the episode is very like uh single-minded. Normally there's just all this random other shit. There's no B plot either. Like it's just all about this
Mm-hmm.
one thing essentially.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good episode. All right. Well, until next time, thanks and namaste.
Namaste and good luck.